Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kayla and it's time to crack into a good book. So today's video, or possibly videos if I choose to split it up, is going to be for my August wrap-up. So I read 31 books and novellas and comics, and DNF'd one book. I was thinking about just how to do these videos, I think, going forward, because I keep reading quite a bit and it's just kind of difficult to talk about everything at once. Without being a super long video. So I have kind of have four different options in mind. So one, I could continue doing just monthly wrap-ups and just kind of briefly giving you, I guess, overviews of what I thought about each book that I read. I guess pros here, I can talk about everything at once. Cons, these videos could be kind of lengthy and they're kind of a pain to edit, but whatever. Two, I could split up an end of the month video to lower rated and higher rated books. Depending on, the books that I read per month, I feel like this could kind of get a little lopsided. If I, this month I read a lot of 3-star books, so if I consider that to be lower rated, then I've got a really long video for my lower rated ones and not that much for the higher rated ones, but that's an option. Or I could do a mid-month wrap-up and an end-of-the-month wrap-up, which seems a little more reasonable. Or I've also seen people doing little wrap-ups every 10 books that they read. So that seems, those two options that I just mentioned seem a little more manageable, and then I could talk a little bit more about why I did or didn't like a book. So anyway, this is kind of a long intro, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you have a strong preference for how I do these things? I may just try to play around with these different options and see what I like best. But yeah, so let's get started for August. I'm going to do this from lowest to highest rated again. And so we'll start with the book that I DNF'd, Flamecaster by Cinda Williams-Chima. So I haven't read anything by her before. So I think there's a whole series before this book. But I was I guess I can just jump into it, but I didn't know any of the characters. I just got really bored and I was I don't care about anyone or what's happening. So, and this was one I had borrowed for free from Prime Reading. So I was this literally cost me nothing. Why bother continuing to read it? So I was just nope, I'm done. That's basically all I have to say about that. Let's get into the 2 stars. So the first one I'm going to talk about is United States of Japan by Peter, I think you can pronounce his name either Turais or Turias. It's an alternate history book where Japan ends up winning the Second World War and and they kind of take over America, so United States of Japan. The premise of this book is there's a video game where basically what happens if America had won the war, and there's our main character is our main character's job is to censor video games. So I don't know. I thought this was a really fun idea, but this was absolutely not what I expected. I had a completely different idea of where the book was going to go, and it just didn't live up to that. So I think I was just kind of disappointed in that, because what I thought it would be was sort of a Ready Player One type of book where, we've focused more on the video games themselves, but it just wasn't. And there's kind of some mystery stuff going on, but I was just bored. I don't know, it didn't live up to what I had anticipated. The second of the 2-star books that I'm going to talk about, I think I only have 2-star books this month, is From Unseen Fire by Cass Morris. So this is I think an alternate history, or an alternate Rome type of thing, where there's magic and our main character has kind of hidden her magic because she basically doesn't want powerful men to be able to control her. Honestly, I can't even remember what this book was about. I think I just remember being bored and kind of skimming it, and I was this is not really as good as I hoped. Even reading the back of this, I'm what happened here? And I read this later in the month, so that kind of gives you an idea of how little I enjoyed it and how little I remember. So I would probably just skip this book. Alright, so now I'm going to get into my 3-star books, and there's quite a bit of them. So I read quite a bit on Kindle and borrowed some books from the library this month, so I don't have them to physically show you, but I'll put the picture somewhere on the screen. So the first one I will talk about is The Murders of Molly Southbourne by Tade Thompson. So this is like kind of a novella, I think, where our main character Molly is like, every time she bleeds, like another Molly pops up and they like are trying to kill her. So like our main character Molly has to kill the other Mollys. But I mean, that's basically the premise. It was good. This was one of the free ebooks that Tor does every month, so I mean, again, I got it for free, whatever. This was just bizarre. Like, I enjoyed it, but it was kind of like, what in the hell did I just read? But it was, I mean, it's pretty short, so I guess there's that. If it sounds good to you, maybe try to borrow it from somewhere. I don't think I would read it again. It was just strange. Okay, so the next book I'll talk about is Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. So I listened to this on audio, and this was one of the free audiobooks that I got from, was it Audiophile Think, I think, that I talked about in my free/cheap books video. So this is like Asian fantasy book where our main character is a kitsune, or she's half kitsune. So she grows up at this temple, but then one day, like, these demons come and like destroy the temple and kill everybody there except for her. And so she has to like protect this dragon scroll or something like that, which people are trying to get to in order to bring the dragon into the world. There's like our evil person is like a blood witch, and then our main character teams up with a samurai from the Shadow clan who has a sword that has like a demon in it or something. They join up with some other people. But okay, so I liked this, but I thought I would like it more. And I don't know if I would have liked it better had I just read it, because this took me like 2 months to listen to. So like over time, I think I just lost interest, and I was like, I don't even really remember what's happening, nor do I really care. So, I mean, maybe this is better in print, I don't know. But if you're interested in it, I would say probably pick it up from the library, just because, like, I can't strongly say anything about it. I guess, like, it was fine, but again, meh. It just took me forever to listen to it. The next book I'll talk about is Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. So this is a romance. Going into this, I kind of thought it was going to be more like the HGTV shows for some reason, because I think our main character's family owns like a construction company. So like it didn't really live up to that. I mean, there was like some stuff about like the construction company, but not again. I don't know why I thought it was going to be like that, but whatever. So anyway, this is a romance, kind of like, I don't know, falling in love with like the little sister type trope, I guess. The male love interest is like the friend of our main character's brother. And so he was a baseball player and like had like a bad injury, and so had to stop playing baseball. So he like joins the family's construction company and stuff, and like our main character has been really into him since she was little, and you know, romance ensues, and there's like a fake relationship because the main dude wants to get a job like being a baseball announcer, but needs to like project a family friendly, I guess, vibe, so in order to be hired. So yeah, we have like the fake relationship thing. Obviously, I mean, it's a romance, so you can kind of guess where that's gonna go. This was not as good as I was hoping. I think my main issue here was that the male love interest was kind of an asshole. Like, I think our main character kind of deserves better than him. But I don't know, how he talked to her was like really cringy, and I didn't love it because he would constantly call her baby girl, which I was just like, no, please don't do that. Like, that just creeps me out. And like, he starts off thinking about like, oh, she's just a little sister, and then like kind of pivots on that and is like, oh no, she's really hot, I need to, get it on. But it was just weird. The book was much more explicit than I was expecting, so I guess like if you're looking for that, that's good. But yeah, like, I just didn't love the romance itself, which is kind of unfortunate. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman. So this is more like a contemporary instead of like a romance, but there is some romance in it. And so this follows like Nina Hill, who works at like a bookstore, and she's kind of like an introverted book nerd. I liked it, but I didn't love it. So I like, it's nice to read just like books about, you know, other bookish fans and like fellow introverts. But she was kind of awkward, and like, I mean, she had some anxiety issues, and like reading about her awkward social interactions made me more anxious. So like, in terms of that, I think that was like my major complaint about the book. So this book is basically about Nina Hill, who works at a bookstore. She doesn't know her dad, but her dad dies and like writes her into his will, and so like she ends up meeting her brothers and sisters that she didn't know she had. So like, it's kind of about like finding family and finding yourself. But yeah, and there's some romance in there. So like, this was good, but not great. Like, I would, if you're interested in it, I would say pick it up from the library, just because like I said, reading certain parts just like made me more anxious and uncomfortable. The next book I'll talk about is The Chain by Adrian McKenty. So this is like
Welcome to the Alexa Prize, a university competition.
Oh.
I'll get you one of the social bots now.
Oh my god.
And say stop.
She just started talking.
Hey, don't be mean.
Oh
Let's change the topic.
Oh my god.
All right?
Alexa, stop.
On a scale from 1 to 5 stars, how do you feel about speaking with this social bot again?
1. I mean, I don't think I said her name.
I don't know. I just heard her start talking.
So I don't know if I'll end up leaving this in, but I have an Amazon Alexa, because I don't want her to start talking to me again. But she just like, I don't know if she got confused with the author's name here, but she just like started talking to me and was like, oh, let me have like our social bots, and like, it was really weird, and was just like, let's have a conversation. I was like, no, please, let's not. And I was kind of just like, what in the F? She's like, oh no, we don't need to be rude here. I mean, we'll get like another conversation going. And I was like, okay, this is, can you just not? So anyway, that was weird. Robots are maybe taking over the world. I don't know. Anyway, so The Chain. This was, sorry, I'm a little, a little confused what just happened here. The Chain is like a thriller where it's kind of like one of those like chain letters that are like, oh, if you don't forward this, something bad is going to happen. So in this, like, basically like a child or family member is kidnapped and held for ransom, and in order to get them back, you have to continue the chain and like kidnap another child or family member of somebody else, and like it just kind of, you know, goes on from there. First half I thought was really good. It was like very fast paced, kind of tense, because our main character is like trying to, you know, rescue her child and has to kidnap it, and does end up kidnapping another child. And then the second half just like really slowed down for me. So like, it kind of explores the aftermath of like what happens, and so like, I guess in that sense I kind of appreciate it, but at the same time, like, it felt really disjoint and like two separate books. I am, I guess, maybe okay with how it resolved. Yeah, I just kind of lost interest in that second half, and it just like, I don't know, it was okay. Maybe like, if you're interested in it, borrow it from the library. So the next novella I guess I'll talk about is Beneath the Sugar Sky by Seanan McGuire. So this is the third in the Wayward Children series, and it kind of like picks up after the first novella. This explores the world of one of the characters who dies in the first one, and I'm not sure that's really a spoiler, because I mean, it like straight up says that in the blurb for this book. Anyway, so the character who dies in the first book, she has a daughter. There's some like, you know, weirdness happening with reality here, but so the daughter comes back into like the real world, I guess, where the Wayward Children's house is, and is like, I need to we need to find my mother and like restore her back to life so that like I don't die. So this was, I mean, again, it's the same sort of thing, the same like complaint that I have with most of these books. Is like, I like it, but it just isn't quite there for me. Short, enjoyable. I think I've said multiple times, like, I would try to find this from the library or like find it on sale, but I wouldn't pay full price for any of these Wayward Children series. The next book I'm going to talk about is Kingdom of Exiles by, I don't know if her name is Maxime or Maxim. I tried to look this up, but I couldn't find anything. But we'll say Maxime M. Martineau. So this is like supposedly like Pokemon meets Assassin's Creed. And I was like, that sounds like a really cool premise, you know, that sounds fun. So our main character, or one of our main characters, is a beast charmer, so that's like where the Pokemon aspect comes in, because she, like, you know, can, I guess, that's not really capturing, well, kind of, like, capturing, I guess, and, you know, making friends with these beasts, but she is exiled at the beginning of the book, and she, like, is selling the beasts in order to, like, live. But this is like a, you know, a taboo thing to do. So then there's like somebody puts a price on her head, and our other main character that's where the Assassin's Creed thing comes in, where he's like an assassin and is supposed to hunt her down and kill her. Then she like is like, okay, well, in exchange for my life, I'll give you these magical beasts. But this dude has a curse that like kills everybody he loves, and so she ends up trying to help him. And so this is romancy. It was just kind of slow moving. Like, I enjoyed it, but it kind of just took forever to get anywhere. It felt a little like insta-lovey in my opinion. I really liked the premise, but it just like wasn't quite there for me. I would say if you're like really interested in this book, maybe like try to pick it up from the library. The book I'll talk about is 3 Laws Lethal by David Walton. So I think I talked about it in one of my hauls, but we have like self-driving cars and kind of like a sentient AI here. Cars are trying to kill people. So I thought this wasn't as good as The Genius Plague by this author. I thought it was kind of boring in parts. I thought it was really interesting take on AI and just like what it means to be sentient, and you know, like that was cool. One of the main characters in here is just like really shitty and awful, and I did not like him at all. So the ending I thought was like kind of sinister almost. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, like I don't think I would reread this if you're interested in it. Like I think it's maybe worth a read, but perhaps borrow it from the library. So the next book I'll talk about is Thrawn Treason by Timothy Zahn. So this is the third in like the newer Thrawn books that have been coming out. I thought it was good, but it like wasn't great. Still, you know, solid Star Wars book, I would say. I think there are possible connections with Episode 9. It does connect with the Star Wars Rebels show, so that's kind of fun. And then we get one of the characters, Eli Vanto, I think, from, I want to say it's like the first of the new Thrawn books, but I can't remember completely. He comes back and like we see more interactions with him. I think my problem with like, I think the newer Thrawn books, at least like this one and the one before this, I really like reading about Thrawn's thought process and like his logical deductions, and I feel like these just like aren't quite, it doesn't quite explore that as much, but still a solid, enjoyable Star Wars book. The next book I'll talk about is Gift of the Dark, My Love by Beth Revis. So this was like kind of like a magic school type book, where our main character kind of gets into necromancy, and there's like a plague going on, and our main character's trying to find a cure for it. So like the magic school thing is like her going to this school to learn like how to kind of be a doctor, or she's going to the school to master like medicinal alchemy. So I really liked the necromancy stuff. Obviously, like I liked the plague thing. There is some romance in here, like, okay, sure, fine. I thought, like, I don't know, I feel like I was more into it in the beginning of the book and then just kind of like gradually lost interest as it went on. Like it was fine, but not outstanding, which is why I'm giving it, 3 out of 5 stars. I did find it a little boring in parts. I would say maybe pick it up from the library. I think the second one actually comes out in September. And like I'm kind of interested in seeing where the story goes, but I don't know. We'll see. The next book I'll talk about is Dragon Teeth by Michael Crichton. So this is kind of like a found manuscript type book. It's set in 1876. Paleontologists are trying to find bones in the West. I don't know. This was kind of meh. It was not the best Michael Crichton book. I would say you could probably skip it unless you're like super interested in reading it. And if so, like I would suggest borrowing it from the library. It was kind of cool. There's like some actual historical figures like Wyatt Earp in here, but not outstanding. The next book I'll talk about is Ghost Talkers by Mary Robinette Kowal. So this is World War I. So basically the premise here is we have like a spirit So a couple more 3-star comics, I guess. I read the New 52 Wonder Woman volumes 1 and 2 by, was it Brian Azzarello? These were weird. I don't know. It's like really heavy on like the Greek mythology, which I normally do like, but this was kind of just strange. I don't know. I don't know if I would continue reading in the series. I do have the, what is it, the DC Rebirth or whatever Wonder Woman books, a couple of those. So I'm gonna, I think, give those a shot and see if I like that version better. I don't really know where to start, I think, with a lot of comics. I had heard generally the New 52 series was pretty good, but I don't know, these were just not my favorite. Like, they were fine, but I don't know if I'd necessarily reread them. So we'll talk about the 3.5-star books. So the first one is After the Flood by Cassandra Montague. So this was an arc that I won in a Goodreads giveaway, and it comes out September 19th. So this is like the post-apocalyptic type book where the oceans, I guess, have flooded and there's like not really much inhabitable land left. Our main character is like on a quest to find her older daughter. I don't know, I thought it was pretty fast-paced and like very atmospheric. You could kind of feel, I guess, just what it would be like to live in this situation. There were a lot of descriptions about boats, so if you're like really uninterested in that, I would maybe skip this. I thought it was kind of cool to read about it, and it kind of like, again, adds to the atmosphere of like what it would be like to actually live on a boat consistently, because, you know, there's not really much land left. I liked the descriptions quite a bit, and you can like really feel our main character's like desire and drive to find her older daughter, also her desperation. So our main character has 2 daughters. One is the older daughter that she's like trying to find, and the second is you know, the younger daughter who goes along with her on this journey. I did actually like these 2 main characters. I think I will say, dog hair on me. I'm a little conflicted about how I feel about our main character's actions. Like, I don't know what I would do in her situation. Like, if you thought your older daughter was alive, would you try to find her, even though it's kind of like neglecting your younger daughter's safety? I don't know. It kind of like is this moral dilemma that I don't know what I would do. I thought the ending was very satisfying, though. I would say it's worth a read. I don't know if I'd reread it, so like this may be one to pick up from the library. So the other 3.5-star book that I rated, I guess, this month is Gods of Jade Shadow by Celia Moreno Garcia. So this was, again, just like, it kind of starts off like you think it's going to be kind of a Cinderella story. Our main character finds the Mayan god of death's bones in her grandfather's like chest or something like that. Like an actual physical box, not like, you know, body chest. But she like, you know, steals the key and unlocks it, and like helps him go on this like quest to restore himself. So this is like, NPR raves about it, and I've seen this like a lot of really great reviews, but like something was just missing for me. And I think my problem here is like it's supposed to be set in like the 20s like jazz age era, and I just like didn't really feel that. Like, so I think the atmosphere itself was kind of lacking. Like, it kind of mentions it, but like I wasn't really feeling it, I guess. I think it kind of like the writing was, or like the story was a little simplistic. And I don't know if that's like, you know, trying to evoke like fairy tales in general. I did really like reading about the Mayan mythology, and like I liked our main character. I thought the ending like really saved it for me. It didn't go in the direction I thought it would, and so like I kind of really appreciate that. Yeah, I really thought I would love this, because like I generally love anything to do with like mythology and like folklore, retellings, whatnot, but it just wasn't quite there for me. So let's get into some of the 4-star books I read. So the first one I guess I'll talk about is Parody by Colleen Hoover. So this was one of the most messed up books I think I've ever read. There are, you know, massive content warnings for like child abuse, just like really dark shit. So basically our main character is a writer and is like hired to ghostwrite, or like co-write, I guess, with this author who, so she's hired by the husband of this author who was like in a car accident, I think, to like finish up her series. And as the story progresses, she's like finding kind of like a written diary from the other author and like, you know, finds out about how her the children die, and like it's just really dark. Then it like the main character and the husband kind of like start to fall for each other and stuff. So like there's just it's a very messed up book. I thought it was really fast paced though. I did ultimately enjoy it, even though like again it's really dark. I borrowed it from the library and I'm pretty satisfied with that decision. Like I don't know if I'd necessarily reread it, but I am glad that I read it. What I'll talk about is The Right Swipe by Alicia Rye. So this is a romance. That's kind of like a second chancey romance, I think. Our main female character has like created a dating app that's a little more like female friendly, I guess, and is like trying to merge it with the male love interest dating app. Well, he's like kind of tangentially connected to it, but anyway. So I kind of went into this expecting just like a light, fluffy romance read, and I feel like it delivered on so much more. So there were. The main male love interest is like an ex-football player and kind of stops playing football because he's like, the NFL is not taking concussions seriously. They, at some point in the past, have like a one-night stand, and then, things happen, and then like they reconnect and stuff, and it's kind of like, so it's second chance romance, and then like rivals to lovers type thing. So what I liked, obviously I really liked this book. It was like a 4 out of 5 stars. So I really liked I liked the romance. I liked the characters a lot. I really appreciated just like the in-depth discussions that it had about like the dangers of concussions and like how the NFL just kind of like disregards it. I think, and then there's also, I guess, some like content warnings about like sexual harassment, but I thought it was really handled well, and it's like, sexual harassment in the workplace, and we kind of learn about this as the story progresses. But I think that was handled really well, and just, I don't know. It's nice to just read about these like kind of heavy topics in this like romance, and I feel like it kind of like rounded out the story really well. So I'd highly recommend this. I borrowed it from the library, and I kind of wish I had a copy. Camera died yet again, so hopefully I can end up talking about the rest of these in just one more day. Okay, so the next book I'll talk about is How to Hack a Heartbreak by Kristen Rockaway. So this is another romance that kind of has like a dating app aspect to it. So in this book, our main character like develops her own kind of dating app. She works as like an IT employee and like has to help men from this like startup company that she works at help them with their like computer issues and whatnot. So she like kind of is discouraged by dating apps and like creates her own, like called Jerk Alert. So like, if guys send like inappropriate pictures of certain certain anatomy parts, or like, harassers or like, abusive messengers or whatever, people can like log these on to the app and be like, hey, this happened to me, and just, whatever. She ends up, like, the love interest, I think she ends up finding him on this Jerk Alert site that she's created, and she's like, oh no, what do I do? So it's like a romance there. So I really liked, like, the message. It's all about, like, being, she has, like, a really good friend group. The main character did kind of annoy me at times, but, like, ultimately I did enjoy it. I liked how it kind of explored, I guess, the aspects of being, like, a female in a male-dominated area. So it was a really good romance. I did borrow it from the library, and like I, again, feel pretty satisfied with that decision. I don't know if I'd necessarily reread it, but I think it's worth a read. Next book I'll talk about is Into the Planet by Jill Heinerth. So I borrowed this from the library as well. So this is like her life as a cave diver, which was really interesting. So it's a nonfiction autobiography slash kind of general book about cave diving. So I think it was last year when the soccer team got trapped in a cave in Thailand. I don't know, I just kind of followed that story a lot and was like reading a whole bunch about cave diving. So I'm a scuba diver myself, which is probably why I find it really fascinating. She kind of discusses her experiences with this. It was really cool. She went diving like super deep, has found like mastodon bones, I think, in a cave. She went diving in like a cave in an iceberg, which is insane. But so she talks about some like really scary stuff, like the bends, which is basically like you get little air bubbles in your veins, it's really bad. So that was kind of stressful, I guess, to read about that, and just like getting trapped sometimes in these like really narrow passages with like really strong currents and stuff. This was a really great read, pretty fascinating. I did borrow it from the library. Like, I don't know if it's something I'd reread again, but I think it is worth a read, especially if you're interested in learning more about cave diving. So the next book I'll talk about is The Arrangement by Robin Harding. So this was in the, what month is it? August Unplugged Adult Book Box. So this was like a murder mystery sort of book, where our main character is a sugar baby, and so she like the book starts off by, you know, the main character calling her dad from prison and being like, I'm in here for murder, can you come help me? So and then, you know, like we back up and kind of explore how she got there. But I thought this was really good. It was very fast paced. It was really good, very enjoyable. Yeah, it was really interesting reading about the world of like sugar daddies and whatnot. But yeah, so the, you know, murder, fun stuff happening in here. I would definitely recommend reading this. The next book I'll talk about is Dark Age by Pierce Brown. So this is the 5th book in the Red Rising series. And it's like the 2nd book in the new trilogy. I kind of struggled to get into it in like the first 100 or so pages. Like, this is a pretty massive book. I suspect a lot of that, it just comes from like me not remembering who everybody was and like what had happened in previous books. So I was kind of like, okay, I don't know what's happening. There's definitely some like really intense like holy shit moments, but like there were moments where I was like, this is a little slow for me. So I think that's ultimately why I decided to rate it 4 instead of 5 stars. But like I did really enjoy it, and like it's a great series. Highly recommend it. There were definitely like those holy shit moments. I was like actually like exclaiming out loud, like, oh my god, what just happened? The next book I'll talk about is The Defiant by Leslie Livingston. So this is the 2nd book, and I don't know what the series is called, but it's a sequel to The Valiant. So this is like a Celtic princess, I think gets captured by slavers and like goes to the Roman Empire, becomes a gladiator, which is like really awesome. So this just, I mean, obviously picks up from what happened in the first book. Again, more awesome, badass gladiator-ness. I really enjoyed it. I gave it, I mean, obviously this is all the 4 out of 5 star range. It was like, again, really just easy to read. Sometimes you just kind of need like it's not really like mindless, because I don't know, it's still really good. But just like very fast paced. Sometimes you just need like a fast paced, easy to read book. This also has like, you know, Cleopatra, Caesar, some Amazons in it. So yeah, really good series. I highly recommend it. I hope I can pick up the 3rd. I think it's a trilogy. But yeah, I hope I can pick up the 3rd book pretty soon. The next book I'll talk about is The Anomaly by Michael Rucker. So this is a book that I mentioned in my August book haul. And it was the one where it's like Indiana Jones meets X-Files. So this is set in the Grand Canyon, where they discover like this cave, you know, some supernatural elements. So this this got a little silly. I mean, I did really enjoy it. But I think the first part of the book is like kind of suspenseful, because, you know, some things are happening. They like kind of get trapped in this cave, and, you know, ominous things happen. And then it just kind of like took this bizarre twist that is, I mean, it's kind of almost comical. But like I did really enjoy it. I thought this was very fast paced. Again, I don't know if maybe I'm like a little biased about this just because it takes place at the Grand Canyon and like, you know, I'm familiar with that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I would say if you're willing to like greatly suspend your belief, definitely pick it up. It's fun. So the next book I'll talk about is Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell. So this is the first book in a series, a fantasy series, that our main character is like, comes from a family of mages basically, and like he's losing his magic. So he is kind of desperate and like really wants to pass the mage trials, because like in this society, you're either like a mage or kind of like a servant, and he doesn't want to become a servant. So he meets this woman who like kind of has like her own special magic, and I don't know if it's really magic. It's kind of unclear, but she kind of challenges him to like explore different paths, and like, you know, are you really defined by this like, you know, family mage structure, or like can you be like a better man? So it's kind of like about finding yourself, and the magic is really cool. I am definitely intrigued by this. I think I would like to definitely continue the series. Yeah, definitely recommend it. One more 4-star book. So this is a gigantic book. This is like Wonder Woman, the art and making of the film. So this is just like, you know, the Wonder Woman movie that came out recently, and it kind of has like a lot of concept art and like costumes and stuff. And so, I mean, this was just like a fun, how did they make the movie sort of thing. I mean, you know, we get like lovely pictures like this, which is super cool. But yeah, if you're interested in this sort of like behind the scenes sort of thing, definitely recommend that. It's good. Okay, so now we're going to get into the 2 5-star books of the month. So I feel like this month, like, even though I read a large amount of books, like the quality wasn't quite there. Like I had a substantial amount of 3-star books, and I felt like a little slumpy, but you know, hopefully September will be a little better. But okay, so the first of the 5-star books is Evie Drake Starts Over by Linda Holmes. It's kind of like about finding yourself, I guess. But the main characters starts off by like she's trying to leave her husband, and her husband dies. So I don't think that's a spoiler because that literally happens in like the first chapter. She ends up like, you know, she's got extra space in her house, and one of her like her best friends is friends with this this baseball pitcher, and he like gets the yips, so he can't like he can't pitch anymore basically, because it's like, you know, kind of a mental block. But anyway, so he like wants to go to Maine and like kind of find himself, I guess, and, you know, hopefully get back into pitching. But anyway, so he moves in to like this little apartment part or like section of her house. And so, you know, there is some romance in there. I think I liked this book so much just because like it kind of had the perfect timing. I read this at the exact right time. Like my softball season just started, so I was like, you know, a baseball read is really great. And I had just kind of like a really shitty day, and this book is like kind of uplifting. There's definitely some moments where, you know, it's just like really touching, and like, you know, I felt, I guess, our main character's struggles. There are some like content warnings for emotional abuse, but I really liked how the book dealt with these issues, and just like, you know, our main character experienced a lot of growth, and I really liked this book. Definitely recommend it. I did borrow it from the library, which like I kind of regret. Like I may pick up the paperback at some point in the future, but you know, we'll see. The last book I'll talk about is Artificial Condition, which is the second installment in the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. So this kind of picks up where the first novella, I guess, All Systems Red left off. Murderbot teams up with a ship, I guess, to kind of investigate some things. Yeah, I mean, it kind of, Murderbot explores its past, and like, I mean, I don't want to get into too much past that, but alright, well, again, my camera keeps dying, so I just like need to end this video now, because otherwise it's gonna be really lengthy, which it probably is anyway. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know, I guess, what you think of these books. Have you read any of them? Do you think you'll pick them up? Again, yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're reading something great, and I will see you in the next one.